a mile wide, an inch deep, but this is what we've talked about the real change that the UK needs, which is a system that is not the first past the post scenario anymore.
The house building that I'm proposing at the start of conference that we'll be announcing more this week is about actually giving people secure futures and making sure that we can tackle things like child poverty. Well, one of the challenges we face because of the Conservatives crashed the economy and the situation we're going to inherit is that we won't be able to reverse everything that the Conservatives have done over the last 13 years.
Labour promised to build 1.5 million homes in 5 years. Sounds great, right? But here's the kicker. Where are the skilled builders to make this happen? In a jaw-dropping TV exchange, Nigel Farage tears apart this promise, exposing it as another empty political pledge. But he doesn't stop there. From NHS woes to immigration issues, Farage uncovers a series of contradictions that will make your head spin. Prepare to see UK politics in a whole new light. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now back to the video. 20% of our NHS came from overseas. The reality about the British healthcare system was disclosed by these words made by Nigel Farage during a live TV interview. The National Health Service, NHS, which was formerly a point of national pride, now relies heavily on foreign talent to be running.
For every single Labour MP, there are 34,000 votes, right? For every Reform MP, there are 815,000 votes.
But we've had 13 years of Conservative failure, a crashed economy, so we're going to inherit a very difficult programme if we were lucky enough to win the next general election, and therefore we're realistic about what we're able to achieve, but we will change Britain for the better.
I mean, the whole thing's absolutely bonkers, and it needs to be reformed, along with much else in our country.
But where were we originally from? Statistics reveal that the number of doctors and nurses being trained in the UK is declining, despite the government's constant claims to the contrary. Numerous youthful Britons are opting out of medical school. Why? The poor income, hard hours, and massive debt that come with being a doctor or nurse make the career seem more like a curse than a calling. It is reasonable to assume that the NHS is suffering from a shortage of qualified staff. Nevertheless, employees are just a single component. A growing population is putting too much pressure on the National Health Service, NHS. With 4.3 million arrivals, more people have migrated to the UK since 2010 than reside in Birmingham, Manchester, and Liverpool combined. Staff members who were already struggling to cope are finding it even more difficult to handle the 43% increase in caseloads as a result of this surge. How did things turn out? Longer wait times, an already frustrated public, and a healthcare system on the brink of collapse. Some may think that the problem would disappear if only more money were thrown at it. Without a shadow of a doubt, the government has increasing the National Health Service's NHS budget allocation from 7% to an eyebrow-raising 11%. Despite this infusion of cash, the quality of treatment has sadly not improved. The National Health Service, NHS, has never been more unpopular. Imagine pouring water into a bucket that is leaking. No matter how much you pour, the water will continue to dribble out. Then, what gives these numbers their particular values? Farage didn't mince words as he delivered the terrible news on television. He asserted that the inadequate immigration policy of the United Kingdom had a significant impact on the National Health Service, NHS. The 4.3 million extra arrivals since 2010 have now swamped public services, despite years of promises to reduce net migration. There are more problems in the horizon than just the National Health Service. As we will see, the healthcare system is just one of many areas negatively impacted by unchecked immigration. Then I guess we can talk about the housing market. Get ready for another dose of reality as we compare the government's ambitious promises for new homes with the harsh realities of Britain's housing problem. Picture being on a long house-hunting waiting list only to watch as newly arrived folks get new constructed homes. This is not a hypothetical circumstance. Thousands of Britons can confirm its reality. The question that remains is whether the United Kingdom can achieve these ambitious housing targets that Angela Rayner has been promoting. Above all else, who will benefit from their behaviour? With Rayner's stated goal of building 1.5 million new homes in just 5 years, the plan appears incredible on paper. But Nigel Farage is not convinced. He is quick to point out the glaring issues with this lofty plan. First things first, where are the builders coming from? Qualified construction workers are in extremely short supply in the United Kingdom right now. It appears like there won't be enough hands to assist construct all these dwellings. Nevertheless, that is not the last of the problems. No matter how nice these properties are, according to Farage, the real issues that Britons are facing will not be solved. Why? For the simple reason that many of these brand new homes will be reserved for immigrant families, leaving little room for the long list of those who have been waiting for social housing. A dismal picture emerges from the data. Thousands of Britons are living in substandard or no homes at all. On social housing waiting lists, many people have seen their dreams of owning a permanent home erode over the years. Meanwhile, new developments seem to prioritize newcomers over long-term residents. As a result of this situation, tensions are reaching dangerous levels. Not even their own government has lived up to what the British people had hoped for. Politicians make grand pledges to fix the housing crisis, while their own situations remain the same or worsen. There can be no doubt about the political implications of this housing crisis. Faith in the government is at an all-time low. If these ambitious targets aren't met, many votes may abandon ship, and the odds aren't in our favor. Empty promises have burnt them countless times before. Those in authority ought to pay heed to Farage's worries. Making promises only to break them sows the seeds of social discontent, which is bad politics in and of itself. The gap between official rhetoric and reality is growing, creating an increasingly gulf between the two groups. Concerning the UK's future, Nigel Farage has revealed some unsettling facts. Once a source of national pride, the NHS is now in a precarious position due to its dependence on foreign professionals. Meanwhile, the housing situation is becoming worse, and millions more Britons are struggling to locate cheap residences. The immigration rules that have allowed 4.3 million individuals to enter the UK since 2010 are a much larger issue. These issues are just manifestations of the larger problem, rather than its root cause. Is it feasible for the UK to maintain its current immigration numbers without putting more strain on public services? Given Farage's threat to the current quo, it is necessary to confront this hard matter. The government's repeated inaction in limiting net migration has many people doubting the possibility of meaningful reform. As Farage puts it, we cannot have limitless numbers of people coming into Britain. It is making us poorer and diminishing our quality of life. When this bold claim gets to the meat of the matter, viewers are forced to ponder the trajectory of UK politics and policy.